All right, let's talk about something that could totally flip the script on how you think about marketing, especially if you're not sitting on a mountain of cash. We're diving into lean marketing, a strategy that's all about getting huge results but on a small budget. Let's get right into it. So, here's the question, right? The one that probably keeps a lot of us up at night. You see these giant companies with their flashy, expensive campaigns, and you just think, how am I supposed to compete with that? It feels like the game is rigged from the start. But what if that's not actually true? What if that whole idea is just wrong? You know, on one hand, you've got this common belief. You need big money, you need these super complex strategies, everything has to be perfect. But the lean reality? It's a whole different ballgame. It's all about being nimble, being fast, and being really disciplined in how you execute. We're not just talking about playing the game differently, we're talking about a completely new game.
Okay, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off and tackle this thing head on. It's time we bust marketing's biggest and, honestly, most expensive myth.
And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the lean philosophy. Your real problem isn't the size of your bank account, it's your game plan. See, throwing more money at a broken strategy is never going to fix it, but changing how you think about it, that changes everything. So if the approach is the issue, what's the fix? Well, it's all about adopting this lean mindset. And just to be clear, this isn't about, just finding cheaper ways to do things. It's a fundamental shift in how you operate. So what is lean marketing exactly? Think of it like a scientist in a lab. Instead of spending months and months trying to build the one single perfect campaign, you just focus on this super fast cycle of testing your ideas, learning from what happens in the real world, and then iterating. It's all about making progress, not chasing some impossible idea of perfection. And when you put them side by side, the differences are, wow, they're huge. The old way is all about that one perfect campaign. The lean way, running lots of small experiments. Instead of one big, risky launch, you've got this constant loop: test, measure, iterate. And here's the really crucial part. The metrics change completely. You stop chasing vanity numbers like likes and impressions, which, they feel good, but they don't pay the bills. Instead, you focus on stuff that actually moves the needle, like leads and conversions. The whole game shifts from just pushing your product to actually solving your customers' problems. Okay, that's the mindset. But, theory is one thing, actually doing it is another. So how do we put this into practice? Well, it all boils down to a really simple but powerful action plan. This loop is basically the engine that drives lean marketing. It's simple and it's repeatable. First, you get laser focused on your customer and what they need. Then you build a minimum viable campaign, just the bare bones version you need to test your idea. Step 3, that's where the magic happens. You test it, you measure what actually matters, and you learn from the data. And finally, once you find something that works, you automate it, you systemize it, and you use what you learned to make the next loop even better. Look, if you only remember one thing from this whole process, let it be this. It's all about playing it smart. You minimize your risk and you maximize your learning. Every single one of these small experiments is a chance to get smarter, to figure out what your customers really want, all without betting the entire farm on one big idea. So, you commit to this, you execute the plan. What's the actual payoff? Well, that's where you unlock what we call the lean advantage. And trust me, it's a total game changer. And here's why this is such a big deal. With this approach, you can actually run circles around bigger, slower companies just by being quicker on your feet. You stop wasting money on ideas that don't work, which is huge. You start seeing real, measurable results way faster. And you only pour resources into what's proven to work, not just what you think will work. You're not just chasing tactics anymore. You're building a reliable system that gets results. So it all boils down to this, really. This is the big takeaway. Real success in marketing isn't a spending competition. It's a game of speed, of being obsessed with your customer and having the discipline to execute. So I'm going to leave you with a question, a little challenge. Just for a second, forget about that huge, perfect, grand plan. Based on everything we just talked about, what is the one small test, the tiniest little experiment you could run tomorrow to learn something real about your customers? Because that first step, that's where your lean journey really begins.